Grocery prices are not coming down. Easy to make and affordable meals you still want to eat will help. This one is from Turkey and the leftovers are an excellent cold snack. This street food is called Gözleme. It's a filled flatbread pocket that's pan roasted. The flatbread is made from a simple unleavened dough. Of course, you can use a leavened dough if you prefer a fluffier texture. Like the German Maultaschen I made in this video, these bread pockets can be filled with anything you have at hand. Therefore, they lend themselves perfectly to use up leftovers. Traditional would be either a vegetarian spinach goat cheese filling or a ground meat filling made from beef or lamb. Of course, you can use cheaper variations or what you have at hand, like cream cheese instead of expensive goat cheese, or ground pork instead of ground beef, or even more expensive ground lamb. I'm making two fillings in this video, a vegetarian one and a meat-based one. Here are my two prepared doughs, leavened and unleavened. It's just flour, salt, water and a little bit of oil. And for the leavened dough, you add some sugar and some yeast to that mixture. And if that sounds familiar, it should, because that's a classic pizza dough. That leads me to the first shortcut you could take. You can, of course, use a store-bought pizza dough. Both fillings are pre-cooked because those pockets do not spend enough time in the pan to fully cook the filling. The vegetarian filling is a breeze. It's only a handful of ingredients. Let's start with a little bit of good quality olive oil in a preheated pan. Toss in the aromatics. That's the white part of a green onion and some chopped onions. Little sprinkle of salt. Be careful with the salt because the cheeses that I'm using contain a hell of a lot of salt. Okay, this is good enough. Now add some garlic, add the spinach, let the spinach wilt for a minute. Meanwhile, we can add some pepper. There, that's as much wilting as we need. Add the cheese. This is a good amount of cheese for it. We like it cheesy. With a cheese filling like this, you don't want to melt the cheese completely. You just want to soften it up so it all combines. Otherwise, it takes too long to set again. There. No more large chunks. Semi-liquid. Extract into a bowl. Set this aside and let it cool so you can work with it later. For the meat filling, you want that pan ripping hot because we want to brown the meat. I'm using my go-to and that's clarified butter. Now this pan is really hot. Add in the meat. Add your aromatics. At this point I'm already adding in the bell peppers because I want them to get soft. If you want them with a little bit more bite, just put them in 3 minutes from now. Everything is almost cooked, so let's add our garlic. And add our spinach. Let the spinach wilt a little. As you see, this goes really quick. I'm adding my spring onions. Now this is a really crumbly filling. Traditionally there would be some more goat cheese or some form of cheese in this. I'm flat out of goat cheese, but I still have a block of that skim milk mozzarella sitting around. So let's just grate some of that in. This is the cheap one you can get for like $2.50 for half a pound when on sale. But in a recipe like this, that's perfectly fine. The cheese kind of binds it together a little bit. I'm adding my seasonings. As usual, recipe below. Yes, a little bit hot, not too salty. Extract this and let it cool for later use. Not really part of this recipe, but why don't we whip up a nice condiment while we're waiting for those fillings? I've got some yogurt here. Yogurt is a very popular ingredient in Turkey and in the Middle East in general. I stir that smooth, add a good pinch of salt, a good drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. Stir that in. There we go. Crush a clove of garlic into this. And now the secret ingredient, mint. Fresh mint would be nice, but dry mint works just fine. And if you don't have either, but you happen to have mint tea bags at home, just use the content of 1 tea bag. Stir that in. And there you have an excellent tangy, garlicky dipping sauce for your gözleme. While we are waiting for these fillings to cool, why don't you give this video a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss another affordable recipe. Let's start with assembly, but before we do that, put the largest pan you have on the stove and preheat it to a medium heat. That done, let's start with the unleavened dough. Add a little flour to your surface. I'll just quickly knead this through. Let me halve this. Roll this out thin to about the diameter of your pan. I think that looks about right for my pan. About the filling and the folding. There are 2 ways to fold this. You can either fill it on one side and fold it over like this, or you can fill the center and fold it into a packet like this. The downside of the second method is you have multiple layers of dough on this side. So you have way too much dough and it's going to get way too chewy. So preferably use the single fold over. It also gives you a much nicer crust. So I just put some in here. Don't go overboard, they don't need to be particularly thick. Leave about an inch or so around the rim. Fold it over. And you just press down on it. To crimp it, you can turn it over a little here. And there's your first pocket. Now all you do is brush this with a little bit of oil and pop it into your preheated pan. I'm quickly putting it on a plate and set it aside, so I can make one with the vegetarian filling. I'll go a little smaller. There we go. Fold over, press down, crimp. This is a good size for a snack. Using the leavened dough is exactly the same procedure. So you do this until you have shaped all of them. Add a little oil. And now just add your pockets. I might get both in here. Yes. Nice. Also brush the top with some more oil, so when we flip them over that they're nice and oily. You want them to properly crisp up. Almost there. The easiest way to flip these is to invert them onto a plate. I happen to have these dollar store pizza pans, which are perfect for the job. So you just do this, turn the pan, slide it back in if you can. There we go. And there you have them inverted. Almost a little bit too dark here. Time to extract. And there are the ready to go gözleme. Here we go. There's the one with the cheese filling. Let's take a look what the meat filling looks like. Just as tasty. And there is dinner. Affordable and easy to make. And if you want to see another Turkish flatbread dish, you should watch my lahmacun video next.